The Special Operations Command is taking a cue from the Iron Man comics. It's developing body armor to rival that of the superhero. Now, imagine a suit that regulates body temperature, administers first aid, even comes with computers to improve your situational awareness. Michael Fieldson is the project manager of TALOS, short for Tactical Assault Light Operator Suit. He joins us now. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning.
So, Michael, start by describing the dream suit. What would it look like and what would it do?
So we've basically broken down the system into three functional areas. We're trying to really enhance our survivability of our operators. At the same time, we're trying to increase our cognitive awareness. And then, if possible, we're trying to augment that human performance. And the reason why is we're trying to make our systems so that the soldier is more survivable in certain high-threat missions.
So is this thing envisioned to be bulletproof?
So our current armor does provide some level of protection against ballistics. We'll try to maintain that, if not improve that, in various areas on the suit.
So what are the things that the suit must have, and what are the things, like I said before, that you would like the suit to have, the dream capabilities?
So the baseline configuration is going to have to provide that enhanced protection, and that was really the rationale why Admiral Craven directed us to do this. We want to provide additional protection for the forces on the battlefield. We're also providing situational awareness. We currently do that from a number of different sensing modalities, and what we're trying to do is try to give the operator a more encompassing view of what the battle space looks like. So baseline is going to have to be more protection in areas where we want to improve is really our awareness of what's going on in the environment.
And I imagine, special operations do the hardest things that the military does, and they have the toughest training. What about the flexibility and mobility and just speed that might be required? Could something this effective or this capable, I should say, hinder the ability to move and be flexible if that's needed in a tough situation?
Absolutely. So mobility and agility is one of the 8 functional areas that we originally started off with. Other things you hit on, again, were the thermal management, the medical aspects, different types of armor and situational awareness. But yeah, absolutely, we're going to need to maintain our ability to move in different human environments. So that is a key portion of what we're trying to do here.
And explain the health capabilities of a suit and how a suit can do things like administer first aid or regulate body temperature.
So I think when we get into a suit, when a person's fully encapsulated, there's going to be a thermal stress. So that's why one of the things that we've thought about is trying to regulate the thermal load on the person. From a medical perspective, we already have to administer aid. If you're fully encompassed inside of a suit, then there's going to have to be some way to administer that aid. There is discussions about remote monitoring. I think that's one of those areas where eventually you'd like to get to. And I think the sports fitness world has done a pretty good job of moving the bar from a physiological monitoring perspective. We'll encompass those types of capabilities where applicable.
So this thing could possibly broadcast to operators at some distance, say medical operators or commanders, the physical conditions of the person wearing the suit?
That's certainly one of the objectives. As we move forward over time, we'll want to do that. Initially, you'll just have to be able to have the same capabilities external to the suit than you would traditionally in an area that would not be covered.
We're speaking with Michael Fieldson, the U.S. Special Operations Command's Tactical Assault Light Operator Suit Project Manager. Michael, tell us how you're going about developing this and who you're reaching out to.
So one of the things that's key to this particular effort is we're really trying to change the acquisition model. Traditionally, we partner with one or two major defense contractors, but one of the things that was originally thought of in this particular effort, because of the complexity and the timeline we're trying to work on, we really believe that we need to change that model a little bit. We're trying to bring operators, acquirers, and developers in together quicker instead of a sequential effort. And we think the reason that will work out well for us is because it'll reduce the cycle time, it'll reduce the cost. But another part of that is we're really trying to reach out to a broader audience. Instead of just one or two companies, we as the government are going to be the lead systems integrators, the people that are putting the system together. And we've really used this outreach campaign to try to find people that maybe have not worked traditionally with government and have a certain expertise that we're going to need in order to meet our goal. And really the idea is, how do you reach out, find new people, gain that knowledge, and then find areas where there's parallel interest. Maybe there's something that's going on in the commercial world where there's an engineer that's already solved part of the problems that we're going to have here. We'd really like to be able to reach out and find that person.
And I imagine if you could find applicability of this commercially or state and local government, firefighters and so forth, that would lower your unit costs and also make it more attractive to vendors to go ahead and develop.
Absolutely, and we've reached out to different organizations like the Veterans Administration, Department of Homeland Security. They have projects which are parallel to what we're trying to do here. If there's things that we can take from lessons learned of what they've already experienced or things that they need to work on, then that's great for us. If there's applicability of some of the systems that we develop and we can pass those along, then that's great too.
And why does Special Ops, the Navy SEALs and the people who would actually wear this, why do they need something that is this complicated?
So again, the idea is really just to enhance their survivability. As the threat changes and as mission profiles change, we would really like to have something that decreases our chances of injury, and that's the reason why we're going after something like this.
Can you speak in comparison to what they wear now?
So currently, the guys are wearing, body armor and they're heavy systems. They lead to fatigue because they could be carrying somewhere between 60 to 100 pounds worth of equipment, over longer periods of time. So the idea here is with some of the mobility and agility systems, this will reduce the load on these guys. It'll also increase the amount of time that they can work in terms of a lifespan of an operator.
And what about the survivability in the case that someone is hit and, say, part of the display shuts down or something, or there's a breach of this thing? What about quick escape and getting the heck out of it and getting away from there?
We're absolutely considering, how quickly a person can get in and out of the system. We're looking at potential redundant systems for some of the critical support systems. So those things are also being considered. And
what about the guys that, I guess women also, that would be, by the way, would there be a female version developed? Because I imagine it would have to have somewhat different shaping than it would be for men.
So our current timeline is this year. We're trying to have a rudimentary system where we can understand the human effects, the physiological effects of putting somebody in a system like this. And then by the August of 2018, we'll have generated our first prototype article. So we're really not considering multiple suits or multiple body types, although, the intent is for this to be able to be ubiquitous across our force at some point. But right now, we're a science and technology project. We're early on, and we're going to need most of that, if not all, the August of 2018 timeline.
So it could be a chimpanzee in there the first time around. What do the operators themselves say? What do the guys say about the possibility of somewhere down the line having something like this?
So we have operators embedded in our team. They are very supportive of what we're trying to do here. They understand the importance of providing this next level of survivability. So that's one of the key takeaways I think on this effort is instead of waiting for the operators to wait to receive the product at the end, they're part of the process throughout.
And how will they test it out once you have a prototype?
So in the end, we'll follow the traditional test protocols. We have a test person on our team. We're working with different test organizations, so it'll be tested as any other body armor or system would be that you'd have a person inside of.
And what's the typical process?
So for armor, those things are typically shot to characterize the capabilities of the systems, and then from a just an overall system perspective, we'll do some developmental testing, and then we'll get to operational testing at some point.
And we've been told that there is no picture of the prototype yet, but will it look anything like the armor that Iron Man wears in the movies?
So Iron Man it's a great analogy. I think we will do some of the same things that it does. I don't think we'll look like what that system looks like, and then that's kind of why we haven't really released a picture. Is we really don't want to impinge on people's creativity. We have some images that we circulate internally, but we are coming up with some concepts.
But it would be nice to have a molded-in six-pack, though, wouldn't it?
It would be. It would be nice to have that.
All right. Well, if you send a couple over here, Emily and I will be glad to try them out and let you know what it's like for civilians.
Yeah, I'm sure that would be fun, wouldn't it?
All right. Michael Fieldson is U.S. Special Operations Command's Tactical Assault Light Operator Suit Program Manager. Thanks so much for joining us.
Well, thank you for having us.
Thanks so much for joining us.
Well, thank you for having us.